Seriously, a Nolan film without an airplane or a flying machine? I don't buy it. 0 out of 5 stars. Review done. Okay, let's talk about it. All right, we got a big review today. It's the big Christopher Nolan film, so let's talk about it. All right, we have The Odyssey from 2026, directed by Christopher Nolan. All right, so this film, if you don't know too much about it, and to be honest, going into this, I hadn't read The Odyssey, and I knew some of the story, but not too much. But this is the story of Odysseus after the battle, the kind of battle takedown of Troy, the Odyssey, as it were, the adventure to get back home to his wife Penelope, and the struggles and the cursed nature of everything that he's done, and to spite the gods and things like that. What happens in his journey, along with a parallel journey of his son trying to kind of solidify the household and try to stop all these suitors from trying to take over the throne from Odysseus. So we kind of get a big grand scale adventure, and that's what this film is about. So, all right. So this movie was really darn good. It's a Christopher Nolan film. He does fantastic work overall. I'd have to say I'm a little bit up and down on his work, to be honest. Like, I loved Oppenheimer. That movie was phenomenal. Didn't like Dunkirk. And wasn't the biggest fan of Memento. I know I'm going to get burned for that one. But loved The Dark Knight and loved Inception and The Prestige. Just a murderer's row of great films. And this is in the pantheon of those. Nolan knows how to make big movies that feel big and feel like a big adventure and kind of immerse you in that. And this movie does that in spades. It's really anchored by Matt Damon in the lead role. He does a phenomenal job of really consuming this character and really believing this struggle that he's going through. I'd say the whole cast does a very good job overall. There are some roles that were interesting that they were, relatively name roles, but they were, or name cast members, but they had very small roles. Like, to be honest, like Zendaya and Mia Goth and things like that. They are relatively well-known names, especially Zendaya, but their roles weren't the biggest in this thing. The meat of it is Matt Damon, and then you also get Tom Holland and Anne Hathaway that all have pretty substantial roles in this film, amongst others. And there's so many people in the cast. Robert Pattinson also has a very good role, and John Leguizamo. Man, there's just so many people in this movie, and they all do really well with what they are given. But this movie really takes you on that odyssey, takes you on that adventure, and it feels big in scale and big in nature. Like, you feel the awe. I did not see this one in 70mm or IMAX, but I still felt how big it felt. I was in a relatively big screened auditorium. But, I mean, I'm guessing in those larger premium formats, this movie will feel epic, even more epic than it currently is. So I can't say enough about that. The story, from what I can tell, I brought my daughter to it who had read The Odyssey, and for the most part, hits all the major beats of the story as it's known. I did watch a few catch-up videos and things like that, and all the major beats that were presented in those were present in this movie. I'd say there are definitely, some areas of the film where they had to maybe consolidate and condense and things like that. But overall, it pretty much hits the marks all the way through. And yes, this is a 3-hour movie. I believe the runtime said about 3 hours, 1 minute or something like that. For me, I didn't fully feel the runtime. I was immersed enough in the story and everything that was presented to me that it didn't feel that long, even though it was a pretty long movie. I think they do well enough to really captivate you. And with the narrative technique that they do telling the story and pushing it forward, they did a fantastic job. I can't say enough about the cinematography. They go to practical locations and they do amazing work to showcase the scenery. It's fantastic. And the score, at times, I'm really just into it. And I'm not a person who necessarily notices the score a lot, but there are many sequences, especially some of the more amped up sequences, that I felt really riled up, and like the music, it just getting me thumping and pumping and just, really into it. So that was a lot of fun. And for me on this one, the end is fire. It cooks. It's awesome. The end really, for me, always, endings are huge. How do you walk away from the film? How do you feel about it when you're done? And I just felt pumped and amped with the escalating rising tension, and then the big showcase at the end of really culminating all the storylines and everything in one sequence, or a couple sequences, I should say. But it was so well done. And I mean, there's a reason why Nolan won Best Director recently for Oppenheimer, and he's considered, the new modern master when it comes to cinema. I mean, the generations that are out now, this is their Spielberg, this is their big filmmaker, this is their big event filmmaker. And even my generation can appreciate it because we're, in our adulthood, appreciating all of the movies that he brought out, from the Dark Knight trilogy and all of his other films. He probably should have won the Best Director and Best Picture for Inception, but he finally got it for Oppenheimer, for which, for me, was a great film. I do struggle which film I do like more, this one or Oppenheimer. I've had more time with Oppenheimer, and I really love that movie. So I think they're very on similar pars for me when it comes to just Nolan films and films in general. I think he brings his unique sense of storytelling and grand scale in a way that is hard to deny. And again, I will harp on this again. Matt Damon really brought it, and he really did well in the role. And I think this is a showcase role for him. I don't know if this will get him the Oscar. It could very well get him an Oscar nomination, but he did great work in this film. All right, so I'm going to give this film a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Near perfect film. Fantastic. I can't fully tell you what's keeping me from giving it a 5-star. I think there needs, I don't know. Typically, there's some other X factor about it. I think there were certain characters and certain things that they presented, especially giving some high-profile casting to, that I felt were maybe slightly underwhelming or, lacking in regards to the story. So it's like, hey, there's that big name person, but they're not doing anything, which they don't have to do, especially in a film with a big showcase of a lot of stars. But that's where I'm going to give it the half-star dip. But outside of that, I think this is definitely what I think is so far the best film of the year that come out. I can't say it's my favorite. It's probably close to my favorite film that came out this year. Project Hail Mary and this film, I think, are contending for what I think is actually the best film so far that I've seen this film. And I very much have a different definition of what I think the best film is versus what my favorite film is. Like, I can say The Shawshank Redemption is one of the greatest films ever made. Phenomenal, awesome film. I do like it a lot, and I would say it has to probably be definitely in my top 30 or 40 films ever made, but it's not in my top 10 personal favorites of mine. But I can acknowledge it's a masterpiece of a film. So there's definitely those differentiations, and maybe on the channel here I'll go through and kind of make some lists and things like that. And this is where I say, let me know in the comments, are you seeing this film this weekend? What format are you seeing it in? Are you one of those people, like a friend of mine, who's like, I must see it in 70 mil, I must see it in IMAX, I have to see it in the best premium format there possibly is? Or are you just going to go check it out casually at maybe your local theater that doesn't have that and not break the bank too hard? So that's a tongue twister for me. But let me know, in the comments. Again, I think I fixed the comment issue on these videos, so you should now be able to enter comments. In a recent video, The Evil Dead Burn, got a lot of great comments and a lot of good conversation going. So